Hello, all. Welcome to a new episode of Silly Point. Today, we're going to talk about the upcoming India versus England Test Series. This is the first series as part of the new World Test Championship cycle. So, really exciting series coming up. Looking forward to it. A few injuries for India, big blow to England, which we will discuss in a bit. As always, I've got Zahid here with me. So, Zahid, what are your initial thoughts on this uh, finger licking good test series?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. It's a big series. In India, England. In England, is always going to be a big one. You can argue the India England in India was slightly one-sided, but I think it'll be a more balanced series this time around. Obviously, English conditions. I don't think a few injuries to the Indian camp will make a difference as they showed in Australia. They probably end up playing better with their backs to the wall. Um,
True.
but yeah, for England as well, obviously there's been a big blow with Ben Stokes
Yeah.
missing out,
Yeah.
which obviously disrupts the balance of the squad more
Yeah.
than anything else. So
So
we'll see how they cope with it, and then we'll discuss their options and how they can go about it. They've
yeah.
announced their squad for the first two games,
Yeah.
but yeah, really looking forward to it. Should be a great series. Hopefully the weather is better in August as
Fingers
it's
crossed. Fingers crossed. I mean, yeah, this series is taking place quite late, isn't it?
yeah.
So yeah, let's see how the weather holds up. But I wouldn't be surprised if one or two test matches uh, end up in a end up in a draw
Yeah,
because of the rain. So
yeah,
um,
unfortunate.
cool. Should we start with India's starting 11?
Yeah, let's go for
Which
it.
I mean, you were saying that this should be relatively straightforward, but I've got a few. I'm going to make a couple of bold calls, and
Okay,
let's see where we go with that. Um,
interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
obviously Gill is not there anymore, so it's going to be
yeah,
Agarwal and Rohit Sharma.
yeah. Fair enough. I agree.
Open.
Agarwal and Rohit Sharma, they're the best options.
This is
Had Prithvi Shaw been in the squad from the beginning, or if he was able to come a little earlier from Sri Lanka, then I would have picked him over Agarwal, just given
yeah,
his recent form, just across all the cricket that he's played, the IPL,
yeah.
domestic tournaments in Sri Lanka. So I would have picked him. But
This is the real test for Rohit Sharma as well. Test series in
yeah, I
England
agree. I agree.
as an
This
opener.
this
He's
is
got a
this
ridiculously good average, but skewed by
yeah.
domestic double hundreds and stuff like
This
that.
is this opening in England is probably the pinnacle of being an opener in a test match. So let's see how he goes. Really excited
Yeah,
to see. I mean, he did pretty well in the World Test Championship final.
yeah,
So I'm looking forward to how he goes. Mayank Agarwal, obviously he was in the squad, didn't perform well, got dropped out of the team, and getting a chance again because Gill is injured.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So number three, this is where I'm going to take a bit of a bold decision
Oh
and say
wow.
that it's maybe time to drop Pujara, and have a look at some of the other players. Obviously, there's no, it's a new Test Championship cycle. You want to win in England, right? Every
Yeah,
time India's come here, since 2007, we've never managed to win. Even in 2018, we thought we had the squad, we
yeah,
thought we had the players, we thought we had everything, but then things didn't quite work out. We lost 4-1.
yeah,
The overall result wasn't even close. So I feel like if India want to win, they've got to make some drastic changes to the way that they play. Especially with the composition of the side. Even in the final of the World
yeah,
Test Championship, I think it was just down to um, you know maybe us having a very big tail.
yeah.
That started at number 8 with Ashwin. So they probably have to make some changes there as well. And so that's why I feel like, okay,
So who's your pick at three then?
there's no harm in resting Pujara and seeing the other options
Resting.
out there. Well, resting,
Resting.
dropping,
That's,
whatever you want to call it.
if you miss the first game of the tour series, I won't call it resting.
Yeah. Oh
That's a
well,
straight
drop,
draw.
drop. Let's
Yeah,
say he's been dropped. And I would go with KL Rahul.
yeah,
He's been in good form in the warm up games. I know India are considering him as more of a middle order player, but I don't see why he cannot slot in at number 3. And he's a flair player. He can come in and again change the game in a session.
yeah. I guess this is what you'd like to see. I don't think this is what you will actually see. I
I
think
am
it will be
talking
the
about,
usual.
yes, I'm talking about what I as a selector, what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
So I'd slot in KL Rahul at number 3 over
I'd
Pujara.
I mean, I just think it'll be simple. They won't change it. 3-4-5 will be the same.
Yeah,
It'll be Pujara, Kohli, and
Rahane.
Jinx. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a question mark on Ajinkya Rahane's fitness at the moment. So if he's not fit, then they might have to pick Hanuma Vihari in place of.
Okay, Rahul can bat at 5.
Okay, KL can bat at 5. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
If maybe if Rahane is injured, they might want Pujara in as that safety net. So then Pujara at 3 and KL at 5.
Yeah.
But I'd still just give KL a chance at 3. At least for the first 1 or 2 test matches, see how he goes, and maybe have Vihari at 5 if Rahane is unfit.
But Pujara has been playing county as well this season, right? So
No, I don't think he has. No.
there was some stat that he was the first time he got stumped in county or something like that.
Oh yeah, actually he did. He probably did play some probably before the World Test Championship final.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember he played. But there was some stat that there was the first time in a first class game he got stumped.
Yeah, the first time he did. Yeah, that's true. No, that's true. I mean, I just feel like there's no harm in trying someone with a different temperament, different ball game, different style of playing.
So you're moving away from your theory that balls played is a key stat.
Not necessarily. I mean, you look at the likes of Kane Williamson, right?
Yeah.
Someone like Kane Williamson or Tom Latham, they also play up a lot of balls, but then they're also scoring runs, and that's what matters at the end of the day. So there has to be a good balance. I mean, Pujara in the Australia series was perfect, right? That was in 2019, no, 2020. 20. He was perfect. He played a lot of balls. He scored a lot of runs. No, sorry, I'm not talking about this series.
This one, the one that they won.
I'm talking about the preceding one.
Where
he
they won
scored
both
a
of
lot
them.
of runs, but he played a lot of balls. Whereas in this series, the most recent one against Australia in Australia, Pujara played lots of balls but didn't score as many runs. And
similar in the World Test Championship.
Yeah, and that's just kind of continued on. So I feel like there's no harm in seeing a different player.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. And then obviously at number 6 we'll have Pant, who was welcomed back with open arms, with a proper celebration after he contracted COVID. So him at 6. And is there a doubt about 7 and 8?
Jadeja and Ashwin, both.
Jadeja and Ashwin both. Again, for different reasons. Ashwin being, the number 1 spinner in the team, and Jadeja as an all-rounder who's very good at fielding. I think even if Jadeja bowls 5-10 overs a day, should be fine. I mean, the bulk of the work is going to be done by the 3 medium pacers and Ashwin, I feel. So it's still worth having Jadeja in there.
So no Akshar Patel.
No Akshar Patel. No.
Domestic series, the first series against England.
No, not yet. I mean, that was in India. Different ball game altogether. Cool. So the 3 medium pacers. This is again where I'm going to go with a slightly left field choice. I'm going to go with Shardul Thakur at number 8.
At 9, you mean?
Sorry?
At 9.
At 9, sorry. Shardul Thakur at number 9. Precisely for the reasons I mentioned before, that, the reason that we lost out, in the World Test Championship final was our lower order didn't quite come together. Ashwin batting at 8 and then maybe having someone like Shami at 9 didn't quite work out. So I feel like the only way of strengthening that is by playing someone like Thakur, who's a pretty good batsman. I'd potentially say put him above Ashwin, put him at 8. Ashwin can bat at 9. And he's a decent bowler as well. And you'd be surprised to hear that I would drop Bumrah from this team for Thakur. Like I said at the beginning, I'm going to be throwing some bombshells. So I'd go with Thakur, Shami, and Ishant Sharma.
I thought Ishant Sharma might be the one you drop, but he's done really well recently, so I think it's difficult to drop him. Bumrah, he's not been the same since he's come back from injury. I agree, but I can't see them dropping him. It's just too big a call. And the argument of having a number 9 in, I know I guess that's kind of what cost India a bit, in the World Test Championship, where they just collapsed.
It's cost India across all their overseas trips,
Yeah,
except in Australia, where their lower middle order did really well and they won. If you know what I mean, that's I feel like that's where the difference is in winning and losing, especially overseas. When they're playing at home, it's too easy. Like it's too
yeah,
easy for likes of Ashwin and Jadeja to score hundreds.
yeah,
But then when they play overseas, they need that extra little bit of cushion. And
true.
likes of Bumrah and Sharma, they're not gonna they're not going to become better batsmen overnight or
True.
across one series. So I feel like until they don't show that improvement in the batting, it makes sense to pick someone like Thakur, who's a pretty good bat.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, I still think they'll go the same tried and
Yeah,
tested
fair enough.
bowling attack.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
and
maybe later down in the series they might change it up.
yeah, and I would also go so far as saying that the next medium pacer in if they have to rotate because with biosecure bubbles with the Indian team being here for so
Yeah,
long, they might want to rest and rotate the medium pacers especially. I
yeah,
feel like the next person in should be Mohammad Siraj.
yeah. I agree. He's been really good. He's
Yeah,
unlucky to have missed out after his performance in
yeah,
Australia. I actually think if they want to play Thakur, they might drop Jadeja because then, although that will, because then they'll have four seam bowling options, depending on conditions, obviously.
yeah,
If it is a typical English wet morning, then you wouldn't mind going with four seamers.
yeah.
Especially, I mean, again, that's what New Zealand did in the World Test Championship, and
Yeah.
they
Well,
went with all seam, and it worked for them.
the difference is that New Zealand had Colin de Grandhomme at number 7 and Kyle Jamieson at number 8.
True.
That's a huge, and Tim Southee at 9.
Yeah.
Big difference in quality between those players and Thakur.
Yeah.
And even Ashwin, I would say, at least overseas. Ashwin
Yeah.
is great, when we're playing at home,
Yeah.
but when we're
Yeah.
playing
Because I
overseas,
mean, having Ashwin and Jadeja, I think they'll both be doing the same like filler job,
yeah.
and
I mean, I, I don't think Ashwin is going to have. I don't think Ashwin is going to bowl like 5 overs in a day. Ashwin is going to be one of
yeah,
the main bowlers, so he's going to bowl a lot more overs than Jadeja will.
yeah,
Jadeja, I feel is primarily in the team to bat at number
the
7,
batch. Yeah,
and for his fielding.
true, true. This is why
So
I'm actually surprised that Hardik Pandya was not in this squad because
yeah,
he would have been a good fit because
yeah.
he's a seam bowling
I
batsman.
it's just down to the fact that I don't think he was confident enough to bowl
But
10,
yeah,
15 overs in a test match. And I completely agree. And I think the team management and Hardik Pandya agree to this as well, that in order to get the best value out of him in test matches, he has to be able to bowl.
true. Yeah, agreed.
He doesn't
Yeah,
deserve a place in the squad just as a batsman.
yeah,
Jadeja's yards ahead of him with the bat as well. So
true.
um, yeah, and I guess just looking at where the test matches are happening, places like Lords, Leeds,
Yeah,
um, and potentially, you know, Nottingham. I think those places where India can potentially go in with four seamers.
yeah.
Um, Manchester and Oval,
Okay.
they're pretty good for spin bowlers. So,
Yeah,
maybe India can play around with the combination a little bit. But I would really love to see Shardul Thakur and Siraj get a
get a
chance in the
chance. Yeah,
series. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Maybe I mean it's a long series. I'm sure there will be some
yeah,
chopping and changing later on,
yeah,
but.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, so you go with a slightly radical 11. I still think there'll be the usual, so Pujara at 3 and Bumrah at 2 ball, but let's
Fair
see.
enough.
If for me, if the radical change would probably be Thakur for Jadeja,
Thakur
but
in. Yeah,
for
yeah. I
Jadeja.
mean, I
Yeah,
don't personally. Yeah, they might do that, but then again, Ravindra Jadeja has done so well in the warm-up games.
yeah,
He scored 250s, so I don't see him being dropped. The only thing
true.
they can do is drop one of the senior bowlers for Thakur. He's
Yeah,
the only one with any batting ability.
true. Yeah, let's see. Should we
Yeah,
move on to England?
England. Yeah, which I think is straightforward, more
Yeah,
straightforward in my opinion.
relatively. Yeah, so it's the usual two.
Yeah, Dom Bess,
Sibley,
Dom Bess, Dom Sibley, Dom, Dom Sibley, and Rory Burns to
Rory
open up.
Burns, despite Hasib Hamid's great, I mean,
Well,
domestic hundreds and whatnot he's been doing,
yeah.
but I
Well,
still
he
think,
scored 100 against India as well in the warm-up game. So
yeah,
I would actually take it a step further and probably bat him at 3 over Zach Crawley.
mm,
Again, one of my radical things, but go with players that are in form. Haseeb Hamid has always done well against India. Well, to be fair, he's only played his test matches
Played
against
against India.
India. So, and he scored 100 against, against the likes of Bumrah, Umesh
Yeah.
Yadav, Thakur, in the warm-up game. So I'd slot him in at 3. There's no harm.
Yeah, so he's in no Zach Crawley at all.
No Zach Crawley with Root at 4 then.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout. I think England will again be conservative in the beginning and go with Zach Crawley, but I can get what you're saying. We are Root at 4. Dan Lawrence.
Ollie Pope at 5.
Ollie Pope at 5. Yeah, Dan Lawrence at 6, I guess.
Well, I was gonna have a different kind of team in order to protect the team against the loss of Ben Stokes.
Yeah.
You say Butler at 6 and then Sam Curran at 7.
But that's the same, no? I was going to have Dan Lawrence at 6, Butler at 7, and then Sam Curran at 8.
So you're dropping Ollie Pope altogether.
Actually, yeah, you're right. All right. So you probably have so Ollie Pope at 5, right?
Yeah, sorry. Ollie Pope at 5, Dan Lawrence at 6, Josh Butler at 7, and you
Sam
said
Curran
at 8. But then that leaves you with only 2 more medium pace options, right? Because you're going to go with
so you don't have Vokes, then you can't have Vokes, then
yeah. Well, you can't have Vokes, you can't have Ollie Robinson.
I don't know Robinson. I mean, they're obviously will they play both Broad and Anderson? That's another question. I think they have to. I think they have to.
Yeah,
in England,
I would say that you have to play Anderson, Broad, and Jack Leach. So those are 3 bowlers done. And then
I think Chris Vokes is a sure shot for me.
Sure shot. So then if you play Chris Vokes, then you've got to play one between Sam Curran and Ollie Robinson. And then I guess I'd go with Sam Curran just because he loves to play against India.
Yeah,
like that 2018 series, he was an absolute nightmare. And I don't see why he should. Yeah, and left arm angle as well. So I don't see why he shouldn't play. So I'd probably, Dan Lawrence will have to sit out, which then means that you go with Root at 4, Ollie Pope at 5, Josh Butler at 6, Sam Curran at 7, Chris Vokes at 8, or you can switch them around. Stuart Broad at 9, Jack Leach at 10, and James Anderson at 11.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you can't play Ben Stokes.
Yeah, true. Otherwise, you could have had Stokes at 5.
Yeah.
And then you could have actually afforded to drop one of Curran or Vokes then.
Vokes, yeah.
And then you would have had more balance and a much better batsman. But I think they need to. Yeah. They need to find the right, and they will go with four seamers. I think that's just how England play.
To be fair, this is England's most balanced side. I mean, they're lucky to have the likes of Sam Curran and Chris Vokes. They can play them together in the same team. You look at India. This is what India is missing, really. Right?
A fast bowler who can bat a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have, Vokes and Sam Curran in their own right are pretty decent batsmen. So. Especially at test match level. So I think that works. Very similar, I think, in terms of balance actually. Compared to the Indian team, especially the lower order where it's 7 and 8, you have 2 okayish batsmen and then a very 9, 10, 11. Like Broad's now a proper tail ender.
Yeah.
He was once very good, but I think his batting is declined now.
I agree. But he still has that one odd innings, one innings here or there. So
it's like Shami. I think he just goes and hits it, right? So if it connects, it connects.
True. Yeah. So that, just on its own, that looks a reasonably strong team. So does India, obviously. When does India never look strong? They're always looking strong.
On paper.
Playing on paper, at least. Then it's about what they, how it translates in reality. Cool. Key players to watch out for? India, England.
Good question. Again, I don't want to go the straightforward Kohli and Rohit Sharma. I think for me, an opener in England. I think we mentioned this earlier. I really want to see how he does in England. And it depends if KL Rahul plays similar. I think he's been talked about. The white ball game, he's proven himself. Red ball still question marks. So I think if he does get the chance, I don't think he will in the beginning. You think he will? or you want him to at least. I think it'll be good to see how he performs.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, the bowling, everyone. Let's see how they use Jadeja actually with the ball.
Yeah.
He's obviously got very good stats, but a lot of them are because of his domestic performances or at home. So maybe it'll be good to see how they use him. Whether he just is a 4-5 bowl, bowls the last one before tea kind of a bowler, or he's actually used properly.
Yeah. Yeah. True. And England.
England. Ben Stokes is always my pick for these things, but I think whoever plays the middle order player between Butler and Root, Ollie Pope / Dan Lawrence, I think they'll have a lot. Because if they lose wickets early, because their top order is really weak, I think, as we always tend to say, and I don't think that's changed much.
Yeah.
Whether it's even Crawley or Hamid, both of them, Crawley's on good form. Hamid is coming back into international cricket after a while.
Yeah.
So it'll be difficult. It's a lot on Joe Root, but Joe Root's an obvious pick. So whoever is after him, probably Ollie Pope.
Yeah.
Who also himself was injured for a while, right? He's coming back.
Yeah, he's coming back from an injury as well. Yeah.
So he'll have a lot relying on him. And I always pick the odd one out in the bowling, which is Jack Leach. I think a spinner in England.
Yeah.
I think that's the one place where India has the edge over England, man for man.
Agreed.
So there'll be a lot resting on Leach to kind of step up and do that job where he doesn't get hit like Pant goes after him, because he's a filler bowler.
Yeah.
It'll be good to see how India play him and how Leach kind of responds.
Yeah, cool. So for me, from India, I'm going to pick R. Ashwin. I know this is England, but in the form of his life, and I just think he can transcend. He's one of those bowlers that can transcend conditions and weather and whatnot, and still be effective. So I think for India, it's going to be R. Ashwin in the bowling, and in the batting, Pant again. Difficult to look past him. The way he was welcomed into the Indian camp after contracting COVID, that just speaks volumes about what he means to the Indian team. For England, I'm going to pick Haseeb Hameen as being the standout player for England. I think he should play all 5 test matches. He's, he looks like a really, really good test match player. He's one of those guys that, you might think, okay, he's a slow player, similar to Pujara. He's a slow player, but then he can really catch up with his strike rate after he gets a substantial score, 50 or 100 or whatever. So I really like the look of him. And in the bowling, I am going to go with Sam Curran. Well, Sam Curran kind of overall, he's just been a pain in the ass for India in the 2018 series, and I don't see that changing this time around as well. Especially when he's batting at number 7-8, he can really be a big thorn. Trying to get him out, might take up so much of time and effort and whatnot, and he can just stretch those scores, from like 250 to 350, and that can be true. So predictions.
I go England 3-1.
Okay, fine. I'm going to call it a little closer, and I'm going to say England 2-1. India, for some reason, India just find it so difficult, playing in England. But let me caveat that with the fact that every time India have lost before, they've not had so much of acclimatization time like they have had this time. They've played a test match already against New Zealand at Southampton. They've been here for almost a month, getting used to the weather, getting used to the pitches and whatnot. So that's why I'm saying it'll be a little closer. 2-1, one lost out to draw, one lost out to rain. So that's your 5 test matches. It's very difficult for me to see India win the series. England are missing Ben Stokes. It's just the nature of playing at home, but it'll certainly be a much closer series than the series in India.
I agree.
And closer than the 2018 series as well.
I think it'll be. I think it'll be 3-1 England, but I think it'll be good close test matches. I don't think there'll be a match where England will just run away with it, win by like 200 runs or something. But I think it'll be a good well scored by this. England will edge it, and also they have more flexibility in a way because they can they can have chopping and changing in the squad after 2 games. They can have more people coming in India, although they have a big bench. I just think if some people don't perform, then in the bowling I think they still have some depth.
Yeah.
in the batting in the top order. I'm not sure they have experienced replacements.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a
True.
question.
I mean, let me end the episode with this. The team that makes the bravest slash boldest selection choices will
Yeah,
win. I feel like if India, take the big step of maybe dropping Pujara and picking KL Rahul, or even picking someone like Shardul Thakur, even Umesh Yadav,
yeah,
in England, I think he's a swing bowler, so he can make a big difference. So I feel like, whichever team makes
yeah,
bolder selection decisions, even England, like, if they
mm,
feel, if they pick Hasib Hamid, for example, or they veer away and, maybe pick someone like Ollie Robinson, who, we don't know, we're not seeing what's happening in the nets.
yeah,
Maybe Ollie Robinson is causing a nightmare in the nets,
yeah,
and he's bowling well and he's picked ahead of Broad Anderson,
yeah,
or Curran or Wokes. I feel like whoever whoever makes those
yeah.
bold decisions will end up winning the series.
True. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think I think that's fair. You have to be brave to win test matches.
Yeah, true.
But just his history tells us that teams tend to be cautious. They end up
Yeah, yeah,
going with the
true.
extra batsman, or they
Yeah.
go up, play with
Well,
that protection.
and
But
it's the perfect time to make brave decisions because it's the start of the World
yeah,
Test Championship
true.
cycle. This is the first series, right? So if you start with a bang,
Yeah,
um, then yeah, things become easier later on.
true. I
Cool.
agree.
So that's our episode. Hope you've enjoyed that. We've had quite a good discussion. I've pulled out some strange, some brave calls like dropping Pujara potentially, and dropping Bumrah as well. Please do let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Zahid has gone the more cautious route. So yeah, do let us know in the comments what you thought of our choices. And as always, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until we see you next time, thank you for watching. Bye.
Thank you.